Welcome, I am Claudia Clars, and this is Oria Document. Today's story takes us back to the 1950s, a time when the world was not at peace, but living in silent paranoia. The years of the Cold War, when governments were not only experimenting with weapons, but with the limits of the human mind itself. What you are about to see is not fiction. This is a story reconstructed from multiple sources, multiple lost lives, and a single name. A name we will call Eliot. Eliot's story. In the shadow of MKUltra. Eliot was an ordinary American industrial worker in the early 1950s. He worked as a cargo laborer in a small factory, in a region where the boundaries between civilian industry and military development were already beginning to blur. The Cold War was not just in the news. It was in every street, every factory, every conversation. The world was locked between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. And in that world, the human mind itself became a strategic asset. The day it all began. One ordinary day, Eliot went to a doctor due to severe leg pain. A suspected ligament injury, a workplace accident. Nothing unusual, at first, but outside the clinic, he noticed something strange. Men in dark suits stood motionless. Hats, silence. They did not speak. They did not wait like patients. They watched. Eliot thought maybe they were government agents. Or maybe he had just seen too many spy movies. Inside the clinic, however, the diagnosis was not simple. It was not just an injury. It was severe cartilage degeneration requiring long-term treatment. And then came the offer, a government-linked medical program, an experimental treatment. In exchange, full medical care, job security, official participation in a government program. The doctor spoke calmly, too calmly, and said, "If you return in a month, you might be walking without pain." Eliot hesitated, but the pain left him with little choice. He accepted. The beginning of surveillance. The next morning, the men returned. This time, they didn't just observe. They spoke. Eliot had become part of a state program, but the global situation had changed. Soviet intelligence activity was a threat. Therefore, protective measures were required. They covered his eyes and took him away. The reality, MKUltra. What Eliot experienced was later understood as part of a much larger system. MKUltra, a secret CIA mind control research program. It began in 1953 during the peak of Cold War tension. Approved by Alan Dulles, directed by Sidney Gottlieb. Its objectives included human mind influence research, interrogation enhancement techniques, psychological warfare, behavior control. The experiments. Eliot and other subjects were placed in various conditions involving LSD and other psychoactive substances, hypnosis, sleep deprivation, total isolation, electroshock therapy, sensory deprivation, repeated audio and light stimulation, psychological pressure techniques. In many cases, subjects were not informed they were part of an experiment. Eliot's collapse. Over time, something began to break inside Eliot. Not all at once, but gradually. His sense of time disappeared, his memories fragmented, his identity became unstable. At one point, he could no longer tell where he was, how long he had been there, who he actually was. Reality was no longer stable. The escape. After approximately 2 months, a moment of clarity came. Just one. A realization. This was not treatment. This was captivity. He could not escape alone, but someone existed outside. His uncle. He helped. Eliot escaped and left the country. Later life. Years passed. Eliot was given a new identity, a different name, a different life, placed into a witness protection-like system to disappear from his own past. 23 years later, he returned to the United States, but he was no longer the same man who had left. Historical context. The MKUltra program remained classified for decades. Until the 1970s, congressional investigations began. Many documents were destroyed, but thousands of files survived. Based on verified evidence, psychoactive drugs were used. Individuals were often not informed behavior, and mind research was conducted. It became one of the darkest covert programs of the Cold War era. This was Oria Document. I am Claudia Clars. If you enjoyed this episode, share your thoughts or reflections with us. For more content, subscribe. Thank you for your attention. We will meet again soon. Until then, I wish you all the best.